Hi, everyone. Rosanna Berardi with our monthly Trump 2.0 Tuesday updates. Thank you for joining us. We'll get started in just a few minutes. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Berardi Immigration Law Tuesday update webinar. I'm Rosanna Berardi. It's top of the hour at 12. We will get started shortly. Okay, it's 12:02, so let's get started. I'm Rosanna Berardi. I'm from Berardi Immigration Law, the managing partner here. Today, we're going to talk about all things immigration, and boy, is there a lot going on right now. Holy crow. The purpose of this podcast, I'm sorry, not podcast, I just looked at the little QR code. Purpose of the webinar is to just give you the latest and greatest of what's going on, why, how it all works. We're doing broad strokes here. Happy to discuss any real nitty-gritty details offline. So let's get started. So I am recently back from Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, where I was admitted before the United States Supreme Court. Now, don't get excited. I don't have any cases before the court, thankfully, but I was admitted as part of the Women's Bar Association, and I was able to sit 10 feet away from the Supreme Court justices. It was amazing. If you've never been to our nation's capital or have gone into the U.S. Supreme Court building, I highly recommend it. What does that have to do with U.S. immigration law? Well, a lot. June is the busiest month in the U.S. Supreme Court's calendar because before the court adjourns for the summer, they issue many opinions. We are all anxiously awaiting the decision on the birthright citizenship case. I'll bring you back to that one. Birthright citizenship, U.S. Constitution says if you were born on United States soil, you are then a U.S. citizen. Trump administration's arguing not so fast. If you're here unlawfully and you give birth, the child should not be a U.S. citizen. Well, we heard some oral arguments back on May 15th on behalf of the government and then on behalf of the parties to the contrary. And there was some really interesting talk. This decision is not going to be about birthright citizenship. It's going to be about the power and the impact of injunctions. What's an injunction? Well, if you've been paying attention since January, every time the Trump administration does something that seems a little out of line, they get sued, goes to a federal court. Federal court says, we don't like this. We're putting an injunction. An injunction is a stop, but that stop is nationwide. And at issue is, do the federal courts have that type of power and authority? Now, this issue is nothing new. Many, many administrations have complained about it for decades because it really puts the hands of the country, the issues into the hands of the federal courts, not the president. If anyone knows me knows president shouldn't even be involved. It should be Congress. Nonetheless, we're going to see a decision on this. And the questions are kind of all over the place by the justices, and we'll see what comes out, but that one is coming soon. Let's talk about what everyone's talking about right now, which is Los Angeles protests, National Guard. The Marines have been deployed. What the heck is going on? Well, it depends on what you believe. I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. Trump administration isn't happy with the number of people that have been removed from the United States. Remember, they won the election on the promise of the mass deportation in history. And that's been hard to accomplish. Why? We have something called due process and the US Constitution. You just can't remove people because they're here unlawfully. They're entitled to their day in court. Well, apparently, as reported in the Wall Street Journal this morning, the administration isn't happy with the numbers. So Stephen Miller of the administration said to Immigration and Customs Enforcement, listen, we need to go wider on this. We're going to start going into workplaces, and we're going to start picking up individuals who are here unlawfully or without status. So they pressed the green light on that over the weekend. Word got out. They went to Home Depot. They went to a couple different manufacturers, because they're really saying, employers, look, you know what you're doing. You know who you're employing, and we're going to remove them. These are individuals without status. Well, individuals in Los Angeles area did not like the way in which it was done. So protests started. The whole thing escalated. There's a lot going on. There's a tension between the federal government and the states. The federal government says, hey, we have federal law enforcement officers that are being, attacked and tasered, or, things are thrown at them. We're going to protect them, and we're going to call in National Guard and the Marine Corps and such. And it's a very interesting issue. Individuals that don't have status, that are working unlawfully in the U.S., can be whisked away by Immigration and Customs Enforcement. That's the name of their agency, enforcement. It's not pretty. It's law enforcement. It's a very divisive issue. People are arguing that families shouldn't be separated. With an attempt to stay apolitical on this one, there's just an important reminder that we are a nation of laws. We have federal immigration laws. This firm is turning 20 years old this month, and we have spent 2 decades following the U.S. immigration laws for our clients. The law's terrible, incredibly hard for unskilled labor to work in the United States lawfully. As a result, we have a large population of unlawful individuals. However, we are a country of laws and a nation of laws. And when those laws are broken, the government has the ability to enforce them and to remove individuals from the U.S. It's a slippery slope to say, well, we're not going to enforce the U.S. immigration law because it's garbage, but we are going to enforce the gun laws and the drug laws. If we don't like the laws, who are we going to call? Congress. Where is Congress? Have you heard a peep out of Congress that has the majority right now? Not a word. Problem. Anyway, this is going to escalate. Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, not happy about the federal National Guard coming in. There have been cars set on fire, vandalism, graffiti. It's just plain old ugly. But the Trump administration is wedded to this concept of removing large amounts of people. They were elected solely on this issue. So we'll have to see. Speaking of messy, another hot button issue in the immigration world right now is international students. You guys, this one is a hot mess. International students apply to universities and colleges. They get accepted. They are not eligible for any type of financial aid, no Pell Grant, no federal student aid, nothing. They have to show that they have an account full of money that can cover their tuition. Well, what's happening right now? Secretary of State Marco Rubio on May 27th said, no more visa appointments for students that want to come to the US. Boy, that is a shocking one. Why? It's June. Most students head to college or university in August. This is the prime season in which international students would be going to their US embassies or consulates with their acceptance letter from their school and the proper document and proof of payment to get the visa in their passport that allows them to enter the US. Right now, none of those visa appointments are available. This is going to have a huge chilling effect on the economy. There's over 1 million international students in the US now. They attend school. They pay a lot of money for their school. They live in apartments. They grocery shop. Um, we're really going to hit the bottom line here on the economy. Also, they do play an integral role in our US labor force. They work in a lot of positions in tech, in medicine, where we have documented shortages. If you like that or not the issue. They fill that gap. So what's happening now? If you're an international student or you know somebody, you're friends with somebody, at the University of Buffalo or wherever, and he or she is in the US and they have their student visa, they're good to go. Do not let them leave the US. This stuff is changing minute by minute. We would hate to see somebody stuck outside of the US. If they have specific questions, we're happy to answer them for you. But rule of thumb, don't leave the US if you have your student visa already. Now, the administration is saying, oh, no, don't worry. This is only brief. This is just a pause. We want to do some increased vetting. I don't know. The brief pause, who knows how long this can actually last. But the government's arguing they want to do increased vetting. So students right now are in a pickle. They may be planning to come in August. Who knows if that's going to happen? This one is really a shame. These are students that are vetted at a really high level. They pay a lot of money to come to the US, and they do really bring a lot of value to the US economy, the labor force, our culture. We've been representing international students for decades, and boy, oh boy, would I be sad if we were no longer doing that. So hopefully we'll see what happens. Big impact on universities. Some states are saying that they could lose $1 billion a year. Really difficult stuff. I think part of this stems from the whole Harvard controversy. That's a whole other issue in which the Trump administration is not liking Harvard right now. They've shut down their ability to accept international students. A federal judge said, no, you can't do that. And, it's being appealed. And then they issued a proclamation. Harvard's a big mess. But I think the international student pause of appointments is really an extension saying to universities, hey, if you don't play nice with us, this is going to happen to you. Very messy stuff. We don't have a time frame on it. It's really a shame. Government wants to vet people at a high level. Go for it. They've been doing that for a long time, but apparently they don't think it's enough. So they hit the pause button on international students. So if you see in the bottom corner the QR code for the Immigration Weekly podcast with yours truly, I break down the international student process, how it works, fact versus fiction, in this week's episode. So be sure to download that one. It's really interesting because there's so many false truths about what people think international students do and how it all works. And truly, it's a category that actually functions quite well and allows people in to study in the United States. So the three big issues today, we've got a big mess on our hands in Los Angeles with the National Guard regarding ICE trying to pick up unlawful individuals. We've got the pause on student visas, and we are closely watching and awaiting a decision from the US Supreme Court regarding birthright citizenship. I do not think we're going to hear an actual decision pertaining to birthright citizenship. I think we're going to hear on this injunction issue, and many people are like, well, who cares about that? That's a huge issue, people. That will impact more than immigration. It will clearly delineate the power of the federal courts. And that's a big issue because it is going to apply to all federal issues that come before the court in the future and the courts in the future. So thank you for joining me today. I'm Rosanna Berardi, managing partner of Berardi Immigration Law. We're also co-counsel to Barclay Damon. We are thrilled to work with the wonderful team at Barclay Damon. I host a weekly podcast, short and sweet, just like me, 15 minutes, called Immigration Weekly with Rosanna Berardi. Check that out. There is the QR code, easy to scan, and download the show and share it with your friends. If you have any questions, reach out to us directly. And until the next time, we'll keep you posted. Bye-bye.